Hey guys, welcome back to another Star Wars video, and today I will be going over a scene from A New Hope that could change the whole perspective of the movie. I didn't make this up at all. This was an undeleted scene, but it was in George Lucas's vision. This scene can actually be found in the book, which actually is very interesting and gives so much more detail on the Star Wars universe. This scene takes place at the very beginning of the story, which actually talks about Biggs' story and his plan on escaping the Empire to join the rebellion. So let's get into it. In the movie, it starts off with the Empire latching on to the rebellion shuttle Leia is being held on, and Luke, nor Tatooine, doesn't show up until later. But in the original story, in George Lucas's mind, he introduces Luke and this scene I'm about to talk about in the middle of Darth Vader on the rebel ship. It starts in Chapter 2, and it starts off with this. It was an old settler's saying that you could burn your eyes out faster by staring straight and hard at the sun-scorched flatlands of Tatooine than by looking directly at its two huge suns themselves. So the first chapter is basically Vader attacking the ship to R2 and C-3PO escaping to Tatooine. Then the second chapter is going back to the beginning in Luke's point of view and what happened on Tatooine before R2 and C-3PO arrive, and introduce Luke as a character much faster. So it starts off with Luke gazing into the sky with no clouds in the sky because of the very little water on Tatooine, and he's trying to fix the evaporator, which provides waters to the crops. Before he looks back, though, a flash of light in the sky catches his eye, and he takes out his micro binoculars to examine it more. He hops into his speeder and makes his way toward Anchorhead, leaving a droid called Treadwell to break down, with black smoke coming from the robot. He traveled through the small town of Tatooine, called Anchorhead, and stopped at some sort of station. At the rear of the station, the instrument room, was his three friends, Deke, Wendy, and last, but certainly not least, Biggs. Biggs was back from the Imperial Academy. He says that he was signed to serve the Imperial freighter Rand Ecliptic the week before. He also says that he just wanted to say goodbye to Luke. Luke also includes one more thing. I almost forgot. There's a battle going on right here in our system. Come and look. Deke says that it's not going to be another one of his epic battles that he dreamed of. Forget it. From the flash Luke saw earlier, he knew it was a battle. He says he's serious and says it's a battle, all right. They look to the sky, and Luke only takes a moment to find the spot. Told ya, he says, and Biggs takes the micro binoculars. Biggs sees the two ships and says, "There's no battle, hotshot. They're just sitting there. Probably just a barge loading a freighter, since Tatooine doesn't have an orbital station." Luke then states that there was a lot of firing earlier. A mechanic that works at the station takes the binocs and looks up toward the two freighters. She says, "I keep telling you, Luke, the rebellion is a long way from here. I doubt if the Empire would fight to keep the station, believe me. Tatooine is a big hunk of nothing." By saying this, it means that the Empire spreads fear and alarms everyone that the rebellion are the bad guys, when technically the Empire is. After a few scenes considering Vader first arresting and talking to Leia, and R2 and C-3PO having their argument until they both are captured by Jawas. It starts with Luke telling Biggs some sort of story, like a race or something, while they both walk along the shade of the power station. Luke talks about what he's been doing, while Biggs has been gone on some major starships and a normal conversation two separated friends would talk about. Biggs then cuts to the point. "Luke, I didn't come here to say goodbye," and says that he needs someone to tell, not even my parents. Biggs says that he made some out-system friends at the Academy and the strong talking that's been going on at the Academy and other places. He says that they all agreed about the way certain things have been developing, and when we reach one of the peripheral systems, we're going to jump ship and join the Alliance. Luke says, "You're going to join the rebellion? You've got to be kidding me. How?" A friend of mine from the Academy has a friend on Bastille who might enable us to make contact with an armed rebel base. Luke goes on how impossible it would be to find a rebel base, saying how they are only myths, and that if they were so easy to find, the Empire would have wiped them out years ago. Biggs says that it's a long shot, but he has to be on the side he believes on, what is right. Luke starts to agree, then goes on how he's stuck on Tatooine because of the harvest and Uncle Owen and the Sand People worried that they would attack his family's ranch. But apparently, Uncle Owen is pretty good with a blaster and could take on a whole colony of Tusken Raiders by himself with one blaster. But later in the story, we can see that he can't hold off the Empire. Luke wishes he could go along with Biggs, and Biggs says he's leaving in the morning for the Ecliptic, which is the freighter I talked about earlier. Then I guess I won't see you again. Then Luke reassures him that maybe someday they will meet again, and they both just don't know it. That's it for that scene, and if you still don't know how this could change the entire perspective of New Hope, I'll tell you why. So basically, before the destruction of the Death Star, when Luke Skywalker and everyone else was getting ready, saying their goodbyes, getting into the cockpits of their X-Wings, Luke ran into Biggs, and it was a big reunion, and Biggs was a new character at the time, and no one knew who he was until Luke and Biggs start talking and catching up. But if this scene that I just went over and broke down was in the movie, people would know him, and after this scene, all the fans would be waiting for his appearance throughout the entire movie. People will also just be so happy that Luke and Biggs reunited, which is why I really wish this scene was in A New Hope. Comment your thoughts and if you think this should have been in A New Hope, as well as I should do more videos on the original books, and I'll see you in the next one.